Welcome, thank you for coming. My name is Riley. I'm from New Zealand and I'm a marine biologist. I specialise in studying the behaviour of sharks, and through that process, g'day mate, I was lucky enough to be welcomed into the world that is HECS. Here you go, buddy. 5 years ago, the boss of HECS Aquatic called me up because he saw I worked with sharks on TV, and when you're talking blocking electrical energy, sharks are an animal that we know are the best at sensing electrical fields. So that is how I got invited into using HECS, was to see how it affected the behaviour of the sharks that I studied. As you know, you can't put the ocean into a test tube. It's very difficult to put a shark into a test tube. And so what that meant was it took a long time for me to figure out how to measure whether or not HECS worked, and in fact the benefits of that. Before we get into what I've found, I want to just tell you what HECS is, show you how it blocks your electrical energy, and then that's tick box number one, you understand it. Then how it affects the animals that we obviously like to interact with for various reasons. So what HECS is, simply, is an invention that was created in the 1800s by a guy called Faraday, who wanted to get struck by lightning and not get electrocuted, i.e. he wanted to be able to block electrical energy. He created something called the Faraday cage, and that is used today in many things, from the microwave oven door to something that surrounds an airplane to block electrical energy from exiting. Okay? And all that we have done, or that the HECS team have done, is put the Faraday cage into a fabric. Now, you may be able to see this, I'll pass it around for you. You can stretch it, you can see the little grid inside of it. I've passed even these gloves around. And you can see that within the fabric there is a grid. The grid is a carbon fibre yarn that has been stitched in a particular manner to block the human wavelength of energy that we give off. Now, this instrument here is called a tri-field meter. It's a very fancy instrument from a university in New Zealand, which has been created, if you keep an eye on this part of the area, created to show human energy. When muscles move, we give off electrical energy. You can see every time I peek my hand, you get these spikes in the energy. Okay? That energy comes from our entire body, and when we move underwater or on land, this energy is going out into the environment around us. Some species of animal, we have proven, use this energy to detect whether you're predator or prey, whether they should fight or flight. The shark is one of the main ones. Stingrays, crayfish, and various species of fish have all scientifically proven to be able to detect this energy and use it to decide whether they run away or they fight. What I noticed with HECS is what convinced me to start quantifying this in other animals. But before I get there, I need to show you how this blocks. Now, I know some of you don't wear wetsuits here, but I'm going to show the wetsuit material because a common argument we get is that if you wear a rubber wetsuit, rubber blocks electricity, so that's all that's happening. This is just a normal piece of wetsuit material. When this goes over the top, you can see, if anything, the signal gets almost even stronger it looks. You see they're still registering that energy. So why I show you that is because that gets rid of the concept if you wear a rubber wetsuit, you block that human energy. When I put on the HECS material, however, which encases the entire body, completing the Faraday cage, you block 98% of that energy. You can see here, flat lining out. When we remove the HECS technology, the energy is going into the environment. When we apply the HECS technology, the Faraday cage, we greatly reduce that signal. So as a shark biologist, I saw that sharks, which are usually very cautious, very timid animals, because they are smart and they see us as a foreign presence, sharks, which generally swim around you like this, keeping an eye on you, were less threatened. They were less cautious. That didn't mean to say they came up in my private space. It meant to say that they were relaxed. They treated me like other sharks. They did not mind my presence. So for me as a scientist, see, this is a classic example. You cannot, unfortunately, do it with just the glove.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, if you do see just the glove, you still get the sense because her whole body here is generating the electric field.
Too much energy.
Yeah. What happens, the way electricity works is there's two different poles, okay? And in our body, the energy comes out of our openings. So the energy, the biggest pole is from here to here. So this creates the energy signal that animals detect. Simply by putting the glove on, you're only blocking that tiny amount of your body. So this is why when we sell HECS, we sell it as a complete package. A package that has the gloves, the socks, and the hood. And that's because if you want the greatest effect, you have to cover up the greatest amount of body. People ask, you still have this much open? The distance between these two poles here, they were so small, the signal's so little. So we're getting kind of complex now here. The point being, the human body gives off a signal, an electrical signal through muscle movement. That energy animals can detect, and they use that signal to decide whether they fight or flight. The HECS technology, simply by applying the Faraday cage into the material we make our suits out of, greatly reduces that signal that we put into the environment. Okay? And what that does is enable you to get closer to animals and have more natural interactions. Now, from sharks, people think, okay, cool, that sharks are here. I then needed a subject that was interesting to the average diver, something people wanted. And in New Zealand, that was crayfish. I had some videos up here that I'll kind of just keep playing as these guys go on. I have to find the crayfish one, but this is it here. Over the last 3 years, I've been field testing the HECS technology to quantify if it makes catching lobster easier. Being a target species for recreational divers and commercial fishing, technology that improves your catch rates will obviously be of interest. So, with recent scientific publications proving that lobster and crayfish can detect electrical energy by went underwater on scuba and freediving to determine if HECS make catching them easier. A control for other variables that affect lobster behavior, such as blocking light, as crayfish orientate towards the sun, and also water movement and disturbance by reducing fast body and hand movement. I did repetitive dives trying to capture crayfish, adjusting the only variable being tested, which is wearing either a full wetsuit, gloves and booties made with HECS fabric, or the equivalent wetsuit without HECS. I observed a clear difference in lobster defensive behavior. 90% of the time, lobster retreated immediately when they first touched my hand, while not wearing HECS. While only 12% of the time, lobster retreated in the same situation while wearing HECS. Overall, lobster behavior was less defensive and often unaware of me being a predator whilst wearing HECS, making it not only easier to catch them, but sometimes just lucky. So that's got the pretty music. But so this was an example you may not be familiar with in this area of the world, but crayfish in New Zealand and California and some of the Americas, it's a very difficult animal to catch. If it touches you, it zooms back into the rock. At all the trade shows, when people who know crayfish walk past and see this video, they stop because they know you can't do that. And you heard how I had to control for other variables. When you go hunting, or with a camera, or with a spear gun, or whatever, you try and control the variables, the senses that animals use to detect you. Being sight, smell, hearing, taste, touch. You camouflage yourself, you don't run around yelling, you walk slowly, you don't smell, all these various things. Any good hunter with camera or spear gun or whatever has to control those. There is a sixth sense, though, that electrical sense, which we've never been able to control before. And that was the origin of interest of where HECS came from. And what we've basically done is block that entire signal. Not just controlled it, but we've blocked it. And what that has enabled is this seems to be the signal that these animals use to decide whether or not there's trouble going on. And by blocking it, my job as a scientist is to start quantifying how this works with various species. But people's use and people's market demand moves quicker than science. So people have wanted these suits around the world, and we've got them in the hands of some of the best spear fishermen and cameramen in the world. And we're getting professional testimonials with various animals that they've enabled themselves to get closer to these animals, to spearfish them, or to get a photo of mating behavior. Basically examples of animals being less threatened by the human presence in the ocean. And that is obviously going to be beneficial to wider ranges, scuba dive markets, tourism markets, and whatnot. So what HECS is trying to do is enable this technology to be in everybody's hand and in every climate. And it was never made for the aquatic environment. It started from bow hunters on land shooting deer. And the story of that basically was that the hunter controlled those variables, and yet before he released the arrow, the deer he had noticed still felt something was going on. Much like when you're talking to someone and you can feel someone looking at you and you turn around and they're looking at you. Everyone has experienced that. Science cannot explain that, but we all know that feeling. This was something the inventor of HECS saw these animals having. And long story short, he found out a way to block this hypothetical energy that has now been proven in many animals to be what they use to detect whether you're a predator or prey. So as mentioned, what we've done is put these into various suits in hot climates. We've put them into the skin suit, which is a lycra, with the Faraday cage built entirely in it. You can clearly see that Faraday cage there, carbon fiber weave in it. And as mentioned, you have to have the gloves, socks, and boots on to make the entire package worthwhile. Now this is stretchy. It's like lycra you wear in warm climates. You can wear this directly by itself, or as we made it, it's an entry-level point of cheaper product than a full wetsuit. So you can put this on over the top of your existing wetsuit. The alternative is we are making real wetsuits, spearfish wetsuits, and soon a scuba dive wetsuit in 1.5mm, 3mm, 5mm, 7mm, and in custom suits. And this is the exact same thing as what I just held up. It's just neoprene, the fabric on top. And we make these in black, blue wahoo pattern for blue water, and a green camo pattern for green water. So in short, this technology is something the world has never seen before. The diving industry has not changed in 30 to 40 years other than the colours and the patterns that they put on their pretty little wetsuits. This is a patented technology because of its uniqueness, and also it's a technology that uses carbon. So of course the big question is, how much does it cost? Well, this is the Ferrari of wetsuits, but it's the Ferrari that no other car maker can copy. You of course pay for a premium for that, but as a New Zealander, where we design these suits and make these, New Zealand is a country known for quality. And myself as a diver have worked with these wetsuits for 4 years to make them the best product we can. Because if you spend good money, you want a good product. Not only that, but we're a company that help people achieve what they want. If something happens to their suit, we're more than happy to help them fix it. Because ultimately this is a young brand, but it is a brand that can help every diver. And we want this to be shared around the world, but it won't happen unless people try it. And so what we're going to do tonight, the guys at HECS, because Ahmed sells these in the shops here, the guys at HECS decided that to encourage people, just on this day when I'm here talking to you people, that we would greatly discount some of these suits and some of the dive skins so that we can get you guys out there trying it. Okay, Abdul here tried his wetsuit the first time a while ago, and he came in and he had a get closer moment. He told me that an experience with a fish that usually is very afraid of him came straight past him and didn't even recognize him because he was running away from his friend. Now, that brings me to a close point that if you wear a HECS wetsuit and you go diving with your buddy right beside you, as we all should, as good divers, but she doesn't have a HECS wetsuit on, well, her signal is going to be doing all the scaring away. Now, I'm not saying come here and buy two for the price of one, but I am saying that there's a 25% discount on any of this stuff tonight because I want people to try it. You'll have to talk to Ahmed about pricings on these things because they're on his books, but I can honestly say as a scientist, you get one shot in this world with credibility. I've put my credibility that I've worked for a decade at university behind this product because it helped me in an environment that I needed help in. And then I've used it through interest in my hobby of spearfishing and diving to help my experiences. And there is a film up here I'll continue to play in a bit that kind of just shows all these unique experiences I've had with various animals. And with animals that science says do not detect electrical energy. But we have a fish, for example, in New Zealand called the snapper. The smartest fish you can spearfish. It's the pinnacle of what you get. It's very, very smart. If it sees you, it runs. The only way you can spear them is if you break up food over a rock and you hide and you wait and you sniper it. Sometimes you don't see the fish because they're very camouflaged and you come out and you reveal your sniper position and then the fish is right there and it sees you and it's gone. Multiple times, and only since I started wearing HECS, I've made that mistake. But instead of that fish having the signal to fight or flight, which means it flights in this situation, it's looked at me and I can see it going like that and then gets curious and it swims up to me. And this is what we see with many of these species. You can see this crayfish, it was kind of like, I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to get out of here, but they just come out. Now that's obviously good if you're a hunter, that's obviously good if you're a cameraman. I've also seen animals when usually they wouldn't do what they would do, like breeding behavior in front of you, but I've been able to capture that imagery as well. And I'm just one person. We get testimonials every day from people across the world in all different fields who are professionals telling us about their get closer moments. So I really put it down to you guys. This is a new technology. It is a premiumly well-made product. And it has something in it that you can't get anywhere else. The only way you can figure these things out is if you try them. But remember, it's not a Harry Potter cloak. You are not invisible because there's 5 other senses animals use. As we get better divers, we control these 5, but we've never been able to control this one. But now we can. And that is HECS. Cheers guys, and thank you very much for listening. If anybody wants any questions, does anybody have any?
Have you want to try?
What we can do though, yes, you can come up and have a try at this because I worked for 3 years before we had this machine invented.